Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be ranking every single brand new card from this prime drop from worst to best here in NBA 2K25 MyTEAM. Before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 40,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day, multiple videos a day. Would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. And without further ado, let's hop right into it. Let's see what this list is going to look like. So, in my opinion, this is one of the least like trash bottom card drops of the year. There's just not very many terrible cards in this drop. The worst is actually, in my opinion, Galaxy Opal Jason Terry, because despite having 98 speed, 98 three ball, he has a 50 driving dunk and he's not very good defensively, and he's 6'2", also has a small player build. So him having Darius Garland dribble style isn't that big of a plus, especially when you consider his SIGs in the half court also aren't very good. Darius Garland escape isn't great. Jimmy's behind the back also isn't great. So he doesn't have very top tier SIGs, which when you combine the lack of top tier elite SIGs with his lack of overall slashing ability and lack of size, I think actually does make him, despite being a Galaxy Opal, the worst card in this drop. So I have him at number 22. Number 21 is Lou Williams for very similar reason. Another guy who's undersized and not a great slasher. Now he does have an 85 driving dunk, so he's definitely a better slasher than a guy like Jason Terry is. But similarly to Terry, he's very poor defensively at this point in the year, especially for his size. And he's not really a card that I personally would recommend running by any means. And I do think that the lack of size and lack of defense really holds him back and prevents him from being a very top tier option at this point in the year. Now, moving on from the bottom couple, which are, I think, pretty easily the worst. Probably Jalen Hood-Schifino is next. Now, this card's actually not bad. He's a 6'5 PG, 94 speed, 88 three ball, a good defender, but he doesn't have great shooting badges. He's not an elite level defender. Animation wise, I honestly don't know how his jumper is. If his jumper's good, that could push him up this list a couple spots, but the SIGs are like pretty D-book dribble styles, Luka escape is Braun behind the back isn't good. Nothing particularly special there. He doesn't look awful, but I'm not really sure there are any other cards in this list that are truly awful. That's kind of my point. Like Christian Wood, for example, has the stats and badges of a really good budget big. He's just only 6'9", and his jumper isn't very good. So for him, it's lack of size and a mediocre shot that hold back what is otherwise a pretty good stat and badge wise card and puts him at the bottom of the list because of those flaws mainly. Next up is Anthony Morrow, who again I think looks like a decent card. He's in the 6'5", 92 speed, 85 driving dunk, 98 three ball, but defensively again not a very strong defensive card. I assume the jumper's good. He's got Trey escape. De'Aaron dribble style has a good push cross even if it doesn't have a good burst, but at the end of the day doesn't have a great burst, isn't elite defensively. I don't think he's going to be super duper top tier, but again he doesn't look awful either. Next up is Thanasis Antetokounmpo, who again, same story, looks like a pretty solid card. 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan at small forward, nice and well rounded with speed, dunking, solid shooter, versatile defender. Not a bad looking card by any means. I assume his jumper's probably half decent. I don't know that for sure. I could be wrong. If the jumper stinks, again, it knocks him down a peg. I haven't used every card in this list at this point, so I don't know what every card's animations look like perfectly, but again, he looks pretty good, and I think Thanasis is probably a pretty solid card on this list. And then next up is a card who's actually very similar to Thanasis in Derrick Jones Jr. He's an inch shorter than Thanasis, but I will say stat and badge wise, he's a bit more complete, definitely has much better defensive hoffs. Specifically, he's an extremely athletic slasher, and I know his jumper's pretty good as well from using it in the past. Rush dribble style, Trey escape as well is pretty nice. I just wish he could play shooting guard because he actually looks like a pretty solid card, just undersized at his position. Next up is going to be Karl Anthony Towns, our second Galaxy Opal. The honest truth is this card is basically the same as his Dark Matter, which isn't a card that I personally love. Stat and badge wise, he's not bad, but he's not extremely athletic. He's not super fast. And at this point in the year, I just think realistically, you want more good defensive hoffs. I know the shooting and finishing hoffs are great and stuff, but I don't love his jump shot by any means. I don't love this card. I think he's pretty mid, and honestly, if you wanted to argue him a couple spots lower than this, really wouldn't be too mad at you if you wanted to do that either. I really don't think he's bad. Next up is Diamond James Posey. He's a 6'8" two guard with a 7-foot wingspan. Really good all-around card. Has good hoff shooting badges and pretty solid defense. 90 driving dunk, 94 three ball, and again, he's got great size at his position as well at 6'8". This is a really good budget card. I've used his Ruby a lot earlier this year as well. Jumper's not too bad. He's a super duper solid card, and I think he deserved to be relatively high on this list. Next up is Dark Matter Dame, who I'll be totally honest is pretty mid for a Dark Matter. 6'2" with a 6'8" wingspan. The honest truth is he's undersized, number one. The stats and badges are nice, but he doesn't have off on ball menace. And at the end of the day, his movement isn't that good either. He's got his own SIGs, and I don't know why he has his own SIGs at this point in the year because they're not that great. But this card's relatively mid. He's for a Dark Matter. Not a card I'd really recommend. Next up is Diamond Santi Aldama, who's a 7-footer, can play small forward. that value by itself gives him real value. Not to mention he's a very good shooter with good shooting badges, looks solid enough defensively. I know the stats and badges aren't amazing, but again, he gets the boost of being a 7-foot small forward. I could see this card being very similar to Jonathan Bender. I think his jumper's pretty good too. Now again, if it's a bad jumper, I haven't used him. He could go down this list for sure a few spots, but as of right now, assuming it's a pretty solid jumper, he looks like a very, very solid card. Next up is Pink Diamond Bobby Portis, who's a budget beast, 6'10" with a 7'2" wingspan, a little bit small, just a little bit powerful, but not too bad. 89 speed, 94 three ball, 90 standing, 85 driving dunk, defensively good. His jumper is cash every single year. He's a super solid defender. He's a good finisher. Releases on very quick, rush dribble style. Rest of his sigs aren't going to be great, but he looks like a super duper solid budget big. Not a bad looking card at all. Next up is Aaron Gordon, who's got all the stats and the badges in the world that you want from a small forward. He's 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan. He looks extremely elite, but his jumper's ugly. Even on very quick, the jumper is not good. I can tell you all that right now. That by itself is enough for me to be confident in saying that I do not think this card is going to be all that good. That is just my opinion. Again, you do not have to totally agree with me or anything like that, but it is the opinion that I personally hold about this card, is that he's just not going to be all that cold. I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. I don't think he's that good because the jumper is an issue. And I remember using it on his diamond, seeing people play with that diamond, even with like the dynamic duo they gave him. He's just not great, in my opinion, anyway. Next up is going to be, trying to read my list here. I can't read my handwriting. Roy Hibbert, that's what that says. Hibbert is a 7'2" center. He's got a 7'8", 7 wingspan. He's got 86 speed. He's got legit agility, really good athleticism, great defense, great finisher. This card is awesome in pretty much every single way. Awesome budget center, great size, great finisher, great defender, good athlete, all that. He's just got Brook Lopez base, which is a real killer for what otherwise looks to be a phenomenal card. I have to say that is pretty darn disappointing, in my opinion, to see him be missing that much at this point. Like, the jumper is just so important, and his is not it. And I think at the end of the day, that's kind of a deal breaker for what otherwise looks like a really solid card. Not a deal breaker, he's still very usable, but it holds him down several spots lower than I feel like he should be. And maybe he can be argued a spot or two higher, because the next two cards are these two, Norm Powell and Kirk Heinrich, who are really, really good cards with good jump shots, but only 6'4" at their point guard position. Now, Norm Powell's defensive stats aren't great, but the badges are really good. He's got 97 driving dunk, 97 3, 95 speed. Very well-rounded card. It looks like a very, very capable, solid offensive option. Now, Jalen Green dribble style, the half-court sigs don't look awesome. Honestly, I think the jumper's better, but I think Hibbert's a little better than Powell, so I'll adjust that. Norm Powell probably below Hibbert. Now, Kirk Heinrich, on the other hand, this card's jumper's amazing, and he's an elite-level defender. I think this card's a stud. His jumper's also amazing, and he's got D-Book dribble style, Kemba escape, so not bad on the movement either. This card, I legitimately think is probably better than Roy Hibbert, despite being almost a foot shorter than him. This card looks cracked, and in my opinion, is definitely one of the best options in the game, realistically, when it comes to the point guard position. I think this card's going to be really, really good, so definitely interested and excited about him. Next up, who do I have next? I got to read my handwriting again. Anthony Edwards. This Ant-Man card, not that great. Jumper's just pretty mid, to be totally honest with y'all, first and foremost. And then outside of the jumper being pretty mid, they didn't really update his animations as much as I thought 2K was going to. Because, like, for example, Jalen Green dribble style, not terrible, but not the best. His fade's D-Book fade, which is pretty good. Kemba escape he already had. And then you have Ant behind the back, which isn't that good. And again, they didn't change his jumper. Should have absolutely changed this card's jumper. I don't think he's bad by any means, but I don't think he's really super top tier either. Definitely not as good as I was expecting him to be. That is what I will say for sure. A little bit disappointing. Totally honest there. I just don't think he's that great. Like, for example, I think Dark Matter Manu's better. I know Manu's stats and badges aren't quite as good, but Manu's a high-level defender. Manu's 2 inches taller than Ant is, and honestly, his jumper's better too. He's not as good of a slasher. He doesn't have the same dunk animations, but he's got Trey escape. He's got D-Book dribble style. His movement is just as good as Ant's, and I just think he's a good card. I think he's just as good, to be totally honest. I have no issues at all with saying that this card is just as good, if not even a little bit better than Anthony Edwards, and I think I'd put him better. I'd rather have Manu personally with the better shot. Next up is going to be Andrea Bargnani, who is actually very good. A really, really nice jump shot. He is a little bit on the slower end, just barely, but not really. And his shot is amazing. He's got rush dribble style. Defensively, he's very, very solid, actually. He's an underrated card, and I think he's a very good card on top of that. Definitely a card that I personally would recommend and think is definitely a top tier option at his position. So big fan of Andrea Bargnani. I think he's definitely a really, really good card. Next up is going to be, let me read my hand again, Jason Tatum, not Tim Thomas. What am I saying? The honest truth about this, JT, They didn't change the jumper, which is fine. Still a good jumper. They gave him Pro 2 Fade. De'Aaron Fox dribble style is so mid, and he doesn't have behind the back. So he's basically got an escape and a dribble style you can't really burst out of. Not great. For 100 overall, you just expect better. He's also only 6'8" at small forward, so he doesn't have what I would consider elite level size at this point in the year either. Like, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just not saying he's amazing either. He's really kind of underwhelming, which leaves us with the top two, who were obvious. I think they were always obvious. The second best card in this drop pretty easily is Michael Beasley. He is the best small forward in my team, not named Invincible Giannis / Invincible Kevin Durant, in my opinion. I understand the defense isn't jump off the page ridiculous, but the offense absolutely is. One of the glitchiest and best jumpers in the game, maybe the best jump shot in the game. Kemba escape improves him so much in that area. The Garland behind the back is good. Jalen Green's dribble style works. And again, the shot is so good. He's now got Pro 2 Fade as well. He is just an absolute menace to society. Michael Beasley is a card that I will probably run for quite a long time on my team, and I think he is an absolute stud. So to me, Beasley's an easy choice there. At number 2, and the best card in the drop, was it ever in doubt? Giannis Antetokounmpo, 6'11" with a 7'4" wingspan, every single stat on 99, every single badge on at least half, including a bunch of legend finishing badges, defensive badges, and legend lightning launch as well. Also has Jarrett Culver base, KCP upper, Darius Garland dribble style, Steve Francis size up, KD escape, or Kemba escape, and Trey behind the back. Are those the best SIGs in the game? Pretty much. I mean, the card's insane. He is absolutely broken, and is a card that honestly didn't need to be in the game, in my opinion. He is just ridiculous and unnecessarily so. Incredible card though, no doubt about it. With that being said, that is going to do it for this list. I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.